It's 5 Saturday morning. Thanks to daylight saving time, the sun won't be up for another couple of hours. I am very definitely not a morning person. I am not happy about being awake at this ungodly hour. The special roast coffee I've just begun sipping is doing its best to make me a bit more human, not an enviable task. I am vaguely aware the shower has shut off as my foggy brain begins to replay the events of the previous evening. My lips curl into a smile as I relive that exquisite moment of connection with my wife. In my mind, I can clearly hear her as she calls my name. The memory is so vivid, for an instant, I think I'm dreaming. Babe, can you pour me one of those? My eyes pop open as her voice forces me back to reality. My daydream fades away, and once again I'm reminded, reality sucks. But not in this case. The vision before me is quite lovely. My new bride has just walked out of the bathroom in her short red silk robe. She has both hands above her head, doing that magical thing women do when they wrap their hair up in a towel. Raising her arms has caused her robe to ride up and display most of her trim, muscular thighs. She wears no makeup, she seldom ever does, and still I am captivated by her natural beauty. Amy, I know you have to hurry, so here, take my coffee and I'll go get another cup while you get your scrubs on. Oh hey, do you want to take the leftovers for your lunch? Yes, that would be way better than anything they'll have in the cafeteria, thanks, John. As Amy stands at the kitchen counter, refilling her coffee cup, she begins to apologize for the unwanted, abrupt change to our Saturday morning plans. I cut her off. Amy, honey, I understand. Margaret is sick, and you have to be there. How many surgeries are scheduled for today? I asked. 3, I think. So I should be back home by 4 o'clock, and I can't wait to make it up to you this evening. John, as great as last night was, I was so looking forward to spending a few hours in bed with you this morning. Now I have to dash off to the hospital while I'm still feeling frustrated as heck. Oh, shoot. Should I be worried about sending my beautiful bride off to spend the day with a bunch of godlike alpha male doctors? I asked. Godlike alpha males? Hell, all those jerks are in love with themselves. Amy, come on. You know that not one of them is modest. They are all serious flirts with 20/20 vision, and your scrubs do nothing to hide that sweet figure of yours, I asked. John, I didn't say they are modest. I said they are in love with themselves. Let's face it, they are all narcissistic jerks who love only themselves. So, since they are all obnoxious jerks and they only love themselves, they all in love with themselves. Ha ha, very funny. You just make sure you have nothing to do with any doctor egos. Don't worry, baby. The only heart I care about is mine, but I'll let you keep it in your chest until I want it again. And believe me, Buster, I'm going to want it again tonight. Your heart? When did my heart become your heart? About 4 months ago, when you said, I do, and there is nothing little about it. Amy giggled, grabbed the lunch I had packed for her, kissed me deeply, and then dashed out the door. I refilled my coffee cup and walked out onto our deck. The early morning air was still a bit damp and cool, but not uncomfortable. The pre-dawn moonlight cast random shadows over our sloping lawn, hiding the fact that I'll probably need to mow it today. Once settled comfortably onto my deck chair, I began to reflect on how much my life had improved in the last 2.5 years. I raised my nearly empty coffee cup to the few remaining visible stars in a toast, to the little moments in life that so dramatically change our fortunes. Nearly 3 years before, Saturday morning, I sat at the kitchen table reading the sports page and sipping my coffee. I could hear my 5-year-old twins thumping around upstairs. They were active boys, but not overly unruly. Like most dads, I had learned to tune out the noise they made. Unfortunately, their mother, Cindy, had no such filter system. John, will you go upstairs and deal with that before someone gets hurt or they break something again? I need to get dressed. I don't want to be late picking up Sue. We want to get to the antique show before all of the good stuff is gone. I didn't respond, but thought, yeah, sure, antique show. This was her latest excuse for ditching me and the boys on Saturday morning. Before this, it was book club, yoga classes, and, oh yeah, bird watching. She started this Saturday morning disappearing act about 18 months ago. It started off being about one Saturday per month, then she kept adding activities and staying away longer each time. Now she and her gal pal Sue are usually gone about 4 hours every Saturday. At first, I encouraged her to spend time with her friend, but this has gotten out of hand. I've complained about it, but she just blows up at me and rants about needing some me time. Truth is, I've never met Sue, and I'm beginning to think Cindy just made her up. I don't get the whole me time thing. She only works part-time, 3 days a week, while the boys are in kindergarten half of the day. Plus, Tommy's mom has my twins over every Wednesday afternoon for a play date. I can maybe understand Thursdays because they have school, and then Tommy is at our place until I get home from work. That still gives her plenty of me time. Little did I know what her me time really was. Cindy, relax. They're just boys. Boys are noisy, I answered. Darn it, John, now they're jumping on the bed. Will you please just go check on them? I've got to get going. And don't let them have anyone over tonight. I just don't want to deal with all that noise tonight. All right, I'm going up, I replied. Cindy is out the door before I get halfway up the steps. I get no goodbye, no love you, not even her usual screw you, just the sound of the door slamming. Which? Boys, you need to settle down. That's enough roughhousing. Hi, Dad, we're just playing around. Hey, Dad, can Tommy spend the night? Sorry, boys, not tonight. Your mom will be gone most of the day and will be tired when she gets home. So, she doesn't want any visitors here this evening. Dad, that's not fair, says Dean. Yeah, Dad, that's not fair. Mommy has visitors here, so why can't we? Says David. I don't care what... Wait, what did you say? The twins explained. The other day when they came home from school, Mr. Jimmy was sitting on the couch with Mommy. When they came into the room, he got up and walked to the door and Mommy said, Thank you for visiting me today, Jimmy. Dad, Mr. Jimmy visits here a lot, so how come we can't have visitors? Tommy is our friend. We want him to stay over. I was stunned. Mr. Jimmy? That's what everyone called the older guy who lives just down the street from us. Cindy never once mentioned having him visit. Mr. Jimmy is a slick-looking guy who owns a couple of large used car lots. He apparently makes good money because he does a lot of local TV commercials. His ads say, You can trust Mr. Jimmy. Well, I never trusted Mr. Jimmy, but obviously my wife did. Okay, well, I agree it may not be fair for Mommy to complain about having Tommy visit if she is having Mr. Jimmy visit. I will have to talk to your mommy about that, but I'm sorry, boys. Maybe Tommy can stay over another time. Oh, by the way, boys, did you say you've seen Mr. Jimmy here other days too? Yeah, Dad. He's been here a bunch of times when we got home from school. We like Mr. Jimmy. He gives us gum. He always has gum in his pocket. Well, darn. Cindy's been entertaining that slime ball for a while now, and she sure as heck never mentioned it to me. God knows what she does with him before the boys get home. Shoot, what the heck do I do now? Boys, get dressed. I'm going to call Grandpa and see if we can visit with him while Mommy's gone. Hello? Dad, I've got a problem, I answered. Oh, hello, John. Let me guess, it's Cindy? He asked. How the heck could you know that? I questioned. John, I'm not stupid and I'm not blind. At your last barbecue, you had several of the neighbors there. You stayed busy taking care of the grill, I looked after the boys, and Cindy flirted with all the men. She even disappeared for a while with that slime ball used car guy. I overheard some of the wives complaining about Cindy's low-cut blouse and the way she was flaunting herself in front of all the husbands. I almost said something to you, but I didn't want to stir up any trouble. Damn, Dad. I guess I must be blind and stupid. I was completely unaware of what she was doing. Well, I think she's gone way beyond just flirting. She's had Mr. Jimmy in my house when the kids were at school, and they said he's been there several times when they got home. They said he's had lunch with them a bunch of times, too. What? So she's being unfaithful with that slime ball in your house? He asked. Hold on, Dad. The kid said he's been there for lunch, but I have no idea what they were doing before the kids got home. Of course, she's never once mentioned his frequent visits. So if she's keeping it a secret, I can only assume something is going on. Entertaining men at the house when you're gone? That's terrible. What are you going to do, son? He asked. Dad, can I drop the kids off at your place? I've got to get my ducks in a row before I confront her. Sure, John. I'm retired, remember? You can bring the boys over anytime you want. I dropped the boys off and headed over to my neighbor Larry's house. As expected, he was tinkering with some new equipment in his basement. Larry is a home-based computer guy who loves all kinds of gadgets. I remember at my barbecue, he hung around the grill and talked my ear off. Mostly, he was bragging about a home security system he had put together using old cell phones. I told him I loved the idea and wanted to set up some monitors to keep an eye on the boys. He took my cell phone and got out a couple of old phones he'd been given. He messed with them for a while, then said it was ready. He showed me how to access the old phone cameras with my newer iPhone and how to record videos. I now had a couple of spy cams. I took them home and hid one on a shelf in my bedroom and one in our front room. I knew I'd have to get through the weekend without alerting Cindy. I just hoped the twins wouldn't say anything about visitors. I knew Cindy had Tuesday morning and Wednesday afternoon to be unfaithful, so I hoped I wouldn't have to wait too long for my evidence. The cheating witch and the slime ball got together right after the kids left for school on Tuesday. The video recorded her betrayal and her saying she wished she'd never met me and never had my kids. They talked about how great it would be if she was single, like Mr. Jimmy, so they could travel and live a carefree life. Witch. Armed with my video and the boys' story, I met with a well-known divorce attorney, Sally Hawk. She explained that in most cases the wife gets primary custody of the kids, child support, the house until the kids leave home, and spousal support. Holy cow, she's the cheater! What do I get out of this? Well, you get to pay for everything. At least that's how it usually goes, but we have a bargaining chip. The video would cause a major scandal if it came out. At a very minimum, we should be able to leverage that to get joint custody. That would ensure you get your kids at least 50% of the time, maybe more if she's agreeable. Listen, John, I say we ask for full custody in the house. If she balks at that, offer her a bit more support money. Who knows? From the way she talked, she might be eager to get out of the mommy business and be single again. From the crap they were saying on the video, I think she might just be willing to take the money and go away. I'll let you handle the negotiations, Sally. I love my boys. I can always replace the money, so I don't care how much you have to give her. I want her gone, and I want the boys with me. I told Cindy I was taking Friday afternoon off, and Grandpa and I were taking the boys fishing. That was partly true. My dad was going fishing with the boys, I was not. I suspected Cindy would have Mr. Jimmy in my bed shortly after the kids and I left. I asked Sally for the process server's number and asked she have him standing by. I drove to my dad's house and dropped off the boys. My plan was to return and park just down the street from my house and wait for the feckless jerk to show up. But when I got back, there was a big blue pickup parked in my driveway. I parked on the street, called the process server, and asked him to be there in 10 minutes. I went up to the front door, eased it open, slipped inside, and left it ajar for the server. I could hear them upstairs. I assumed they were being unfaithful in my bed again. I slowly walked up the stairs, stopped in the boys' room and grabbed a small bat, then walked to my open bedroom door. I stopped dead in the doorway, mouth hanging open, as I watched some pimply-faced kid with Cindy in our bed. She was making inappropriate sounds, and the young man was clearly engaged with her in ways I never expected to see. It took me a moment to realize Cindy was saying something to the boy. "What the heck?" I yelled and stepped into the room. The kid was startled, jumping away from Cindy. His legs got tangled in the bedding and he fell to the floor. Cindy screamed and tried to scramble under the covers, but couldn't because they were wrapped around the kid's legs. "John! What in heaven's name are you doing here?" I couldn't help it. The sight of the dumbass punk trying to cover himself while trying to untangle himself, and Cindy yanking on the sheets trying to cover her cheating self was just too much. I burst out laughing. I laughed so hard I had tears leaking down my cheeks, and I had to hold on to the door to keep from falling down. "Are you all right, sir?" "Are you hurt?" the server asked as he helped me out of the room. I was finally able to catch my breath and told him to go ahead. I heard Cindy screaming at him as he said, "You've been served," and snapped a picture of her. I laughed all the way to my car. Turned out, the punk was Mr. Jimmy's 18-year-old son. He had secretly taped his dad with Cindy at his house and then threatened to send the tape to me unless Cindy was with him too. The day I caught them was the third time she had betrayed me with the kid. Mr. Jimmy didn't know about them, and Cindy confessed it all to me before agreeing to all my demands in exchange for my silence. I guess she really didn't want to lose her new meal ticket. I got primary custody of the kids, the house until the kids turned 18, and 70% of our savings. I only paid limited spousal support until she married Mr. Jimmy about 2 months after our divorce, much faster than anyone expected. But it got even worse for her. A month after their wedding, Mr. Jimmy discovered she was still secretly seeing his son. He kicked her out, filed for an annulment claiming fraud, and made sure everyone in town knew the sordid details. She lost her reputation and her new husband's money and ended up having to move to another state. I'm told she now works as a cashier at a convenience store. I spent my first year of freedom just trying to be the best dad I could be. I found a nice older lady to be a part-time nanny for the boys, and she has been great. The boys didn't seem too upset about Mommy moving out. They don't see her regularly, only every once in a great while when she takes the time to call and ask to see them. I stayed busy trying to be the best dad I could be for my boys. I tried to spend as much time with them as possible. One day I had the boys out biking around the neighborhood. Dean crashed his bike into a tree and cut his forehead. I ran to him and tried to assess his injuries. Dean was crying loudly and David was yelling for help. Several people gathered around to investigate what happened. A passing off-duty nurse saw the crowd around the fallen boy and stopped to offer help. She had a first aid kit and put a bandage on his head and told us to take him to the ER to be checked out. I carried Dean home, then drove us to the ER. The ER doctor examined him and he was fine, just a small cut and likely a bruise. As we were checking out, the nurse who had stopped to help us earlier in the day came up to us and introduced herself. Amy was dressed in scrubs and said she just wanted to check on Dean. We chatted for a bit and she asked for my number so she could check on Dean in a few days. Several days later, Amy called. We chatted for a while and I asked her over for dinner to thank her for her help and her concern. That dinner led to several dates, a proposal, and finally, a wedding. 4 months after the wedding, my dad called and offered to take the kids for the weekend. It so happened that Amy was scheduled to be off the entire weekend, so we planned to spend some quality time together. Of course, the 4:45 frantic phone call Amy got this morning put those plans on hold. I took another sip of my coffee. Damn, it was ice cold and I hate cold coffee. Well, I guess I'll have to get my lazy self up and go get another cup. As I struggled out of my deck chair, I couldn't help but think, yes, the last few years have brought many changes to my life and I couldn't be happier about it. And so, we've reached the end of today's story. Was it what you expected, or did it take a twist you didn't see coming? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below, and let's get a conversation going. If this story kept you hooked, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new here or just haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to join our community. I bring you fresh, captivating stories every day, so click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.